Hello, this is Alex, and I have some vital tips and tricks to help you survive the punishing roguelite world of RAD. I will attempt to keep the post-apocalyptic radioactive mutation jokes to a minimum, but no promises. Now it's time to focus your cranium and make sure not to fall out of your radical 80s genes while we get our chromosomes aligned with an atomic dose of useful tips before they decay. Plutonium. Did you know that all that lovely meat laying around the wasteland can actually be grilled to perfection? Well, simply get an enemy to light it on fire, or do it yourself if you manage to get the right combinations of mutations to do so. This will heal you for double and will lessen your chances for contracting mad cow disease. Actually, wait, you're a mutant abomination that might actually help you out. Never mind. Have you ever wondered why sometimes your character is sprinting briskly along and sometimes they're not? Quite simple really. As you're moving around, you're constantly leaving behind a lovely trail of flora and fauna, which allows you to move faster when you double back on your own turf. This can be quite useful for general navigation, but can also be beneficial if you try to go out of your way and evenly spread your seed all over the wasteland to give you a nice little speed advantage over difficult adversaries. These odd little structures scattered about are actually the most unappealing but effective way to try to save the environment. If you happen to have an item that you just don't want, simply hold down the item button and toss it into this strange recycling machine. Have you ever played Symphony of the Night? Well, good, because this is going to be far easier to explain. You can actually do one additional very quick attack after performing a jump kick low to the ground. If you time this right, you can dish out a multi-hitting attack almost instantaneously. This definitely has its uses, but it is risky since you are open for damage for the entirety of the jump animation. You could always just stick to the forward leaping power attack by pressing jump and attack at the same time, your call. Wow. Down in the depths of most dungeons, you can actually find a few secrets hidden right in plain sight. One of them are these special little rooms that can be pillaged if you manage to spot them. Simply look for the rubble on the ground and the cracking near the wall and take a swing. Out on your travels through the lush countryside, you might come across a few different veggies along the way. Instead of instantly chowing down on these, take them back to Billy in town, who will plant and tend for them until they're ready to sprout. Check back after a few runs and you'll find a nice little healing item waiting for you that you can now start with in future runs. Billy is even nice enough to expand this little garden each time you bring him a unique crop from later regions. Keep an eye out for those weird mutant skulls laying about, especially in boss arenas, because these often have free healing items hidden inside. This makes it so you should really only rely on spending a floppy disk on the boss arena vending machine as a last-ditch effort. Make sure to not neglect Shermie's little shop in town because she'll actually grow her business and expand her inventory depending on how much you buy from her. Make it a goal to buy at least one thing from her every trip back to town and she'll eventually have a groovy little storefront. Once you start getting a full arsenal of wacky mutations, you might find it somewhat challenging to micromanage the massive amount of buttons required for all of them, which is a staggering 3. If you want to map certain abilities to different buttons on the fly, simply hold down D-pad left and reassign them wherever you please. A fireball is heading straight for your face. What do? Well, dodge obviously, but did you know that your own attacks can actually absorb and stop some oncoming projectiles? This is only somewhat useful dependent on the situation, but come on, we're at tip number 10, what do you expect? Did you know that cars actually hold a decent selection of goodies hidden in various compartments in the vehicle? To quickly open all the doors at once to check, simply jump and perform a ground pound on them to easily spot their loot. You just battled your way through a difficult dungeon and wound up outside at a dead end. Don't waste your time trekking all the way back through it, simply use the teleporter at the entrance to warp around to the various other dungeons you've found. These are also all color-coded to help you know exactly where you'll be warping to. And those were my main takeaways from my time I spent sleuthing around in RAD, and hopefully these helped you to survive just a little while longer. If you happen to enjoy my style of content for some odd reason, consider subscribing to the channel, clicking that little bell icon if you already are, and following me on Twitter at BoomstickAlex. If you want to go above and beyond, consider checking out my YouTube member and Patreon perks that offer some benefits back to you while primarily helping to fund Boomstick Gaming just like these radical top supporters do right here. As always, this has been Alex, thanks for watching and have a double fine day.